The word design is a very powerful word, very popularly used word, but I think that in recent decades and certainly even possibly for centuries, the word design has been used in its lesser meaning rather than its more powerful meaning. You find the largest, most prominent, most powerful corporations advertising for somebody called a designer, a design engineer or design scientist. What's most interesting about all of that to me is that there is no category within the technical institutes, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or within any of the other technical institutes I know of. There is no category listed under design science or design engineering. The word design has been added by these companies to the word engineering or scientist. What they want, quite clearly, is a man who has the extraordinarily reliable kind of disciplining that a scientist has had or that an engineer has had, plus a great deal of ingenuity, something innate that could not be taught at a university. And that's the reason that there are no such university or technical institute courses, because you cannot teach invention. So in asking for a man who is a design scientist, you're asking for a man who has that great capability and who is able to break through the disciplining of which says do not appraise the significance. A man who breaks through and does appraise the significance and begins to see the interrelated significance of a plurality of specializations, and then begins to integrate those capabilities, integrate those potentials accruing to the new frontier information, and not only integrates the information in the terms of significance of you might be able to, but is able to go further than that and is able to actually what we call reduce to practice, that's the technical term, reduce to practice a concept of potential use. It requires real invention. The word design finally has tended, through such frustrations, into being a word that usually indicates a relatively superficial activity. Very attractive aesthetically at times, the design of the exterior of a package, the design of some decorations for a building, designing in the sense of the industrial design. The phrase industrial design does represent a category in the institute disciplines, but it relates to human beings making psychologically acceptable presentations. And so the industrial design doesn't have anything to do with electronics, doesn't have anything to do with the electronics of a telephone or the electrical circuitry and a flat iron. But he is asked to try to make that flat iron a little more attractive to the buyer. They are sort of a sales appeal, superficiality occupation. And I'm not even mildly interested in that phase of design. I'm tremendously excited by the very large aspects of design, trying to find a man who is capable and disciplined in sufficient depth in a number of scientific directions to be able to understand what the specialist in great depth is saying and understand the significance. He's a liaison man with a man who goes in very great depth in specialization, and yet still saves himself enough of his total capital, time investment and comprehending investment to be able to understand a number of fields, and he's able then to integrate this significance and then convert this potential into tools. I'm interested in going beyond that as design. I'm interested in the design of not only the corporations which hire these designers, but I'm interested in something we get talking about in an even larger way. We talk about systems today, the ground-to-air missiles systems, or we get into much larger ones. We begin to talk about the whole system of projectiles. We talk in an even bigger way. We can talk about the defense system of the country, and this would involve all the design of all the corporations and the design of the way we even educate human beings. Design then seems to me to be a highly objective, conscious, reconsiderate, an imagination that uses a great number of experiences and integrates the effect of those experiences and discovers principles that operate in the special cases and use those generalized principles, and then is not just subjective about them, not just a philosopher about them, but begins to actually apply them and those generalized principles to many specialized cases. I find that design also then goes into a number of tools. All of these designs are realized in external actions outside of man, and they relate to man reorganizing his environment and reorganizing environment so his environment begins to work for him. So the spider can go to sleep and the net keeps on working, catching the flies, not only which are going to support her, but her regenerative function of producing more spiders. And so that these tools then get to be an extension of the internal functions of the living species, in which their function goes on even whether they're present or not.